Heat Map Fantasy Sports NHL Live, our first NHL of the year. Double feature, me and Sean for an hour, then me and Gutta for an hour. $3.99 gets access to everything we do. Check out my profile at Bankster17. In the pinned tweet, that's what it's called. Pinned tweet has the link to sign up. Join us. We're winning lots of money this year. Another comma club. 2 comma clubs on Sunday. 2. I won $2,500. I won the Smith Gang Listener League, Sean, and I wasn't even remotely close to the biggest winner on our site as Jeff DeHave won $65,000. So
that was great. It went from like, Doug, way to go, to holy shit, Doug. Jesus,
I went to, dude, why can't you win more money? Why is there someone at our door? Oh, no, there isn't. Holy crap. I'm sorry. We're just in the middle of the storm here, and there is just crap flying around all in front of my front door. It's triggering our Ring doorbell. It looks like there's a freaking ghost at the front door. That's wild. The storm's amazing. Storm is absolutely amazing.
It's nuts. Yeah, it's...
you guys said you're getting slammed. You're getting slammed.
Yeah, we're smack dab in the middle of it, too.
Yeah, you're close to my in-laws. My in-laws are in Buffalo. You're what, a hop, skip, and a jump away, right?
Yeah, Buffalo's probably, I don't know, maybe 2 hours from me.
Yeah,
not too far. Like a cottage drive.
Heard the winds are at 80 miles, and they've shut down the roads. So, like, there's a driving ban currently in Buffalo. So, good times, great times.
Yeah, why would you go out anyway, right? So.
I don't know. After work today, the weather just started. The storm just hit, and everyone at work, all our teacher friends were like, "Hey, let's go drink." And I was like, "All right, we'll go to the bar." I didn't have a drink, and then I am now, but I didn't then. And a few minutes in, 20 minutes in, everyone's like, "Yeah, we're going home. This is dumb.
We're getting out of here.
We don't need this drink that badly." So we got out of there, but we've got some hockey. I saw that wasn't there supposed to be a Senators game today? Did that get canceled because of the storm, or what was going on there? Was there? I think there's supposed to be a Senators game today. Wasn't there a Sens game?
Not that I know of.
No, I saw one that said postponed or canceled. Or hold on, I'm looking at the schedule. I looked yesterday when I was doing my prep. Yeah, Red Wings Senators. It says postponed according to this. Doesn't say why though. Huh. No.
Oh.
It's not like we don't have enough games to analyze tonight.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, I did the heat map this morning, and I think we'll start this way since obviously we're super informal. When I did the data this morning for the heat map, a couple of teams stood out to me. And for those that are uninitiated, the blue and the green, that's good stuff. So Carolina stood out to me. Washington stood out to me, but not a ton. Florida really popped for me, particularly. I like the fact that their second line wasn't too expensive. Smashville, stood out to me, but they never come through when you want them to. Dallas was big. Edmonton was big. Though I get bored playing Edmonton. And then Vegas and Calgary. So there were a lot of lines because last night there were no lines. There were no lines that were even remotely fun to play. And then tonight there were too many lines, which of course there were. So what's your favorite, let's say favorite line or two tonight, and why do you like them? And I'm gonna let you ramble for a while as I'm looking at lineups as you're talking.
Yeah. So last night's slate was just kind of boring, kind of bland. But tonight we a bunch of games. They're trying to cram it in before Christmas. So Vegas 2 was actually one of my favorite stacks until we got the Marchessault news. So that kind of, Kessel's on there now. I still like them, but kind of a little bit of shine off there.
Why not Vegas 1? What's wrong with Vegas 1 in the match? Why? I guess because a lot of people who don't watch hockey as much or aren't as into the deeper data. So my dad does a lot of hockey now. He did not do DFS at all until this year, and he's been really using the heat map. And he questions a lot why, and I don't always have the answers. And I do a little bit because you and I have talked over the years. But he looks at a team and it's why does the data have this? But then Sean wants this line. So could you dive in a little bit why you prefer Vegas 2 to Vegas 1 and why you now not necessarily either of them so much?
Easy enough. The Stevenson Stone and I think it's Amadio that's on there is going to be going up against should. Usually I'm pretty good at nailing these. Is going to be going up against the O'Reilly line. The O'Reilly line for St. Louis is basically the only line that plays any defense for them, especially on the road. Okay. So I'm banking on those two lines basically sort of canceling each other out. The Vegas 2 line is an absolute wagon on home ice because they don't have.
Wait, hold on. Before you, what's a wagon for those that are uninitiated? When you say they're a wagon, what do you mean by that?
So they're a really good line. We want to use that.
Yeah, we don't speak Canadian here in the States, and I know a lot of us are from the States. Like, we don't know all the hockey jargon. So a wagon means they're really good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I will interrupt you quite a bit for some vocabulary lessons. I hear my dad in my head going, "Ask him what a wagon is, Doug." All right, there it is. So I did.
We like our wagons up here in Canada. They work well with the igloos. Yeah, Vegas. Yeah, so Vegas 2 on home ice because they get the easier matchups all the time, are kicking ass. So Marchessault not playing tonight.
Hold on, I'm going to ask again. How do you know they get the easier matchups? What do you mean by matchups? I really want this to be like a really good learning tool for the uninitiated. How do we know what the matchups are going to be? Can you explain that a little bit more too?
So one thing, and this is what I discovered prior to last year, is everybody and their grandmother in DFS, especially in NHL DFS, just plays power play guys, power play correlation, and that's all they do. I realized, well, wait a minute, teams are going to be on that power play for 4, maybe 6 minutes a night, and they're going to be at even strength for 54 minutes a night. So why would we not focus 5-on-5? So by switching to 5-on-5, and then in getting into the matchups, that's where we uncover targets. Everybody will blindly play. So tonight, a perfect example of this is Dallas 1. Dallas 1 is in an absolute smash spot on paper, right? Everyone sees 3.9. Everyone knows that Robertson, Pavelski, and Hintz, they're on home ice, are an absolute wagon. Here's the thing. They are going to be going head-to-head with the Suzuki, Caulfield, Kirby, Doc line. And that line is actually really, really, really good defensively, especially on the road. For those of you who played Colorado 1 against Montreal the other night, will know what I'm talking about because Colorado only won 2-1 overtime. And Rantanen's line didn't do, because Colorado won. Colorado won home ice, right? Montreal's not that good. That line is very, very good defensively. The thing about Dallas tonight is the power play, the special teams, like Dallas's power play and Montreal's penalty kill, are one of the most extreme matchups I've come across. I don't really worry about power play so much. Power play is sort of like a bonus, but as much as I want to say, you know what, let's not play Robertson's line because 5-on-5, if they're going to go up against Suzuki, I don't know if they're going to really crush it. If they get 4 power play opportunities against Montreal tonight, there's a good chance they're going to score 3 power play goals. Like, it's crazy how good Dallas' power play is and how bad Montreal's penalty kill is. So
so the NHL, they tend to the way that they do it, like they line up, like the coaches kind of decide, right? Is that, if my understanding is correct, the home ice coach kind of decides how the teams are matched up, because you're always talking about they have first option to match up or last option to match up, whatever it is. How does that work in hockey?
Home team. So the home team has last change.
And how do they know? How does the changing work? Give a little explanation on that.
So NHL coaches love their matchups, especially on home ice, because they can control the matchups. So they have their what they call shutdown lines, and a lot of coaches use them. When it gets to the extreme, once you get into the playoffs. So there's some amazing examples of this tonight. One of the, like for Carolina, the Jordan Staal, Martinook, and Fast line, Brendan Moore uses them against the other team's top line religiously, absolutely religiously. So they will be going up against whatever Philly's going to throw out as their top line. I don't even care. It doesn't even matter. Carolina 3 is a great option. It makes us a perfect secondary option. I don't know if I'd roll them out as a full stack to start, but NHL coaches chase their matchups. They want their best guys against the other team's best guys to try to shut them down. For Dallas, the Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson line is their best defensive line, so they usually go head-to-head against the other team's top line on home ice.
And it's the home coach that kind of decides when those matchups happen, because when the road guys put their lineup out there, then the home team can then make their change.
Absolutely. So the road coach
so
can.
that's up. So that's where. So that's why the home. That's why the home road splits matter so much, because it's a home ice coach that's deciding what those matchups end up looking like.
The home 100% splits.
Okay.
When we made, I mean, you know as well as anybody, when we made this switch prior to last season, it was like discovering DFS plutonium. Like it just exploded. I mean, and we all saw the results last year. One of our members went to the live final. Like we had an amazing year last year, right? Because nobody else, and nobody else was doing it
last year. I remember that.
Yeah, I'm so pissed I can't play in Ontario. That'll be another podcast, and I'll just rant. No. But anyways, but yeah, like it's.
But we did have a live finalist after we discovered 5-on-5. After we talked about the 5-on-5 data, you hit for 20 grand. I hit my biggest hockey win ever for $1,000. Paul went to the live final. I mean, we started rolling in commas almost every single week.
It was crazy, yeah. And here we are into the next, and still nobody does it. Nobody. Like it baffles my mind how little people understand how to actually. They just look at the power play lines and they'll play the power play lines. Like it just baffles me, right? I mean, remember how many times did we get bunting under 5%? When Matthews and Marner was 20%.
Matt Bunting, the third player on the Toronto top line, right? I mean, it was Matthews, Marner, and Bunting, and Matthews is at 30%, Marner is at 23%, Bunting 5%. And if Bunting's the one who scores the goal, right? If Bunting's the one who puts the biscuit in the basket, you're getting those points that no one else is getting. They're going to get the assist maybe from Marner. They're going to get the assist from Matthews, but we're getting the full points, the full 8.5 points on DraftKings for Marner or for Bunting, and not just understanding that line was in a good spot, but understanding that if you stack the whole line, that's how you can, increase your points exponentially and really jump up the field quickly. Some nights, listen, if a line sucks, that's, if a goalie stands on his head, right, then you're done. But you're done anyway if you're not stacking the line and you don't have Bunting, and Bunting's the guy you needed. He's the one who scores the goals. You were done anyway at that point. So what's the point of playing Marner and Matthews if you're not going to add Bunting to the list, right? I mean, that's kind of what we figured out pretty quickly last year. And, boy, once we did that, mixed it with 5-on-5 data, we took off, right? And it's been Tampa Bay with Hagel this year, right? Hagel's been the key for Tampa this year. You use Hagel, and you've been rolling up the points. That's when you've been stacking cash because no one's using him. Back to tonight. I want to talk more. I want to go back to the Vegas thing. So, are you completely off Vegas? I know I pulled you way off, but I think that was an important conversation. But are you like all the way off Vegas, or are you just a little less into Vegas tonight?
Oh no, I still like Vegas too, because the matchups won't change, right? Stevenson's line will still go up against O'Reilly. I mean, Kessel, while not Marchessault, Kessel is a similar player in that he'll shoot and stuff. So I still like the matchup. It's a slight maybe a little not enough to drop it to say a secondary stack. I still like it. If you're going to play 3 lines or 4 lines, I would have Vegas 2 as one of them for sure. Pietrangelo, I would do everything I can to get him in my lineup, even if I'm stacking elsewhere. I would try to make him my one-off if you can afford it. He's St. Louis. I mean, I know he's played St. Louis already, but he's just an absolute smash. He's smash spot. He's one of my top D men for the entire slate. He's way up there. I love him tonight. For Vegas too, I would. But everyone will probably play Vegas 1, and they're going to go up against O'Reilly, and it's just, no, you don't want to do that.
Where do you rank Pietrangelo as it pertains to compared with Cale Makar and Roman Josi? Where does he rank for you?
Josi for me is the top player of the night. That was basically the top play of the night on defense for me.
Josi is?
Oh yeah, I love Josi tonight.
So so Petrangelo's a step below then still. So
yeah. For me, okay. Josi, Carlson, Makar, those guys are up there. Pietrangelo's top 10 for me, but I mean, you could maybe look at Vegas now and look at him and maybe do a Riley Smith. So you could use them as a secondary possibly, right? So you could go like have your main stack, wherever you want to go, and then you could go a Smith Pietrangelo for because they'll get some. They got 5 on 5, and they'll have power play correlation, right? Carlson, I wouldn't play as Carlson is a facilitator, a passer, if you will. So I would not play Carlson as a one-off. I would play Smith and say Pietrangelo if you're going elsewhere. It's a secondary combo. Okay. If you're not feeling it with Kessel, which I understand, it's still a good spot. Have we got the goalies? I assume Binney's in that, right? Bennington?
I'm looking up. I've been kind of going back and forth. I didn't get a chance, unfortunately, to do goalie math today, so I'm sort of winging it on goalie tonight based on data from the heat map. Not so much, but Bennington is in it.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, honestly, the NHL has been very NBA-like lately, which is a real piss off for me because NHL is usually just nice and steady. But so yeah, if you're not feeling the Vegas stack, Smith and Pietrangelo as a secondary combo works very well.
All right, very cool. So if Vegas was your top stack, and now the team that you went to immediately, now they're no longer the team you jumped to immediately. Who is the team that you were like, I am getting these guys in my lineup no matter what?
So, funny enough, I'm liking Columbus. Stalock starting, not Mrazek. I wish Mrazek was in there. I have it's not a clear cut so much like it's obvious slate for me because there's quite a few options. I would probably, believe it or not, I really, really, really like the third line for Calgary. Backlund, Coleman, it's Mangiapane is on there now. I think Ruzicka got hurt, or did they move? Or is Ruzicka down? They bumped him down to the fourth line. I don't know if these lines are going to hold. But Mangiapane is on the third line now instead of Ruzicka. But I'm really feeling some Calgary 3. Like that line a lot. Okay. The price
because right now I've got Calgary 2 in the lineup. I have them stacked with Carolina 1. Are those lines worth playing? Should I just go Calgary 3 with like an Edmonton stack? Is that a better way to attack this?
That's kind of what I would. So what's going to happen in Calgary? So believe it or not, Anaheim actually does have some defensive players. The Henrique line with Fowler and Kulikov, and they'll probably get the Lindholm line. And I have no desire to play a line that has Lucic on it. Like, I don't know if that's going to hold and they're going to change that up, but you cannot make me. I will if you ever see a heat map and you see the name Lucic, something's wrong. Call 911. Call in something. Goodie's in trouble.
Or maybe Troy wrote it because we know Troy was very excited for the Milan Lucic revenge game last night.
Troy 100%. That would be a T. Robson right there.
That's why we don't like.
Yeah, I love Calgary 3. So Edmonton 1 is Puljujarvi and Hyman. They put Draisaitl back the second line. Yeah. I have no desire in that second line for Edmonton with Fogle and Yamamoto. Like, that's just no. That's an awful line. Honestly, if Vancouver gets up a couple goals, Draisaitl's probably going right back up with McDavid anyway. But yeah, I would roll Edmonton 1. Edmonton 1 is obviously going to be very popular. Yeah, good old Matt. Matt built some beauty lines. I love Matt. Matt's just he's like, what do you think of this? I'm like, Matt. Are you kidding? If I was building a lineup, that's exactly what it looked like.
I love Matt because Matt joined our site because he heard me talking about hockey one morning over on Sirius when I was doing Fanball Radio with Brian and Matt, and I did a hit on that. And I don't remember, he hit for a few $100s that weekend, and he has been a loyal member ever since. And I want to get over to a live or something someday. Some friends on our team here who really figured out how we do things here. Back when he was young. Yeah, Matt and Rich and Paul. I mean, there's a few friends who've just members who've just crushed what we do. Proof positive that what we're doing works. But yeah, I love to see it. So I switched my thing to Calgary. Getting back to the slate that sells, I just switched back to Calgary, Edmonton. One of my lines. I'm only playing 4 lines tonight. I just didn't dig in as deep as I wanted to with work and everything, and maybe fell asleep on the couch after work, possibly tonight. Didn't get a chance to dig in as much and missed out on some of the good slates or some of the good tournaments. But I like that. So you said you're liking Calgary 3 quite a bit. You like stacking with Edmonton. I mean, the data really popped for Dallas for me. Are you into Dallas at all tonight? I know you brought him up a couple of times, but and you've got the concern with the top line playing Suzuki, but then they've also got the power play. So are we hot on them? Are we not hot on them? They're green, so you must like them a little.
Dallas, honestly, I mean, Dallas 1 is one of those lines that can, they got slate breaking capabilities.
They do.
I look back. I tore the slate apart, and I dug into Montreal hard, and the Suzuki. I went through a bunch of their last road games, and the Suzuki Caulfield dock line just didn't really give anything up. They're just they're one of the best defensive lines in the entire NHL, especially on the road. Now think about that. As bad as Montreal is, that line just doesn't. They're almost like a They're almost like a shutdown number 1 line, really. They would be a great third line on a cup contender. But they don't generate a ton of offense. The thing about Dallas, and I mentioned it, if they get 4 power plays, they're going to score 3 power play goals tonight, and it's going to be this line. So if I was playing, I would treat them as like the Edmonton. I would have them on a line just for that power play, because if they get a bunch of chances, they are going to absolutely fry Montreal. Because the Montreal penalty kill is it might be one of the worst, or damn near the worst in the entire league. And Dallas's power play on home ice is just is lights out. So and same thing. You could look at Dallas. You could, if you're stacking somewhere else, you could go, Roberts and Heiskin as a secondary combo, something like that, right? But I would probably just roll the 4 of them out just to cover your ass, because if there's a big penalty, if there's a parade to the penalty box for Montreal, that they'll hit value for sure. It's just, I don't think they're gonna hit value 5-on-5. I think this is the situation where you need them to get a power play goal or 2 to hit value. But that's what they got it. That's what the stats. That's what everything's telling me. Like I said, anybody who played Colorado, the Rantanen line against Montreal the other day knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was very frustrating. That cost me some money.
Right.
I needed Colorado. I hit on my early plays, and then the late plays just.
I was guilty of that, because honestly, I played Colorado in 2, and then I don't know if I didn't have time to get into every game on that one, but today I did, and I'm like, well, okay, you know what? There's something here. And Nick Suzuki is one of the best defensive players, and so Caulfield and Doc come along with them, and yeah.
So I'm looking at this Nashville line. I'm trying to put together a lineup here for the short slate on FanDuel. And I see that you've got Nashville 3 as opposed to Nashville 1. You want to talk about that a little bit? Because Nashville looks like they're in a good spot. And I know Nashville always kind of makes us sick. So maybe it's because of that reason. But yes, I'm glad you asked it.
So the Cody Glass, Niederreiter, Jeannot will be probably matched against the Rantanen line, based on how Hines has been deploying his lines. So based on that, and I have no interest in the Cody Glass line. They don't even generate a ton of offense on home ice, probably because they're used as a shutdown line. And then when I looked at the Granlund, Novak, Forsberg, and then compared them to the Duchesne, Trent, and Johansson line, it was not even close on home ice. The Johansson line on home ice has actually been putting up some big numbers, and they're the third line. Part of this, when we figure out the matchups, and it leads to me. If you remember, and I made note of it in the heat map. Remember when we played Boston 3 with Trent Frederick against Colorado a few weeks ago?
I've made that was one of my better slates of the year. So yes, I do remember that.
This feels like that exact scenario, right?
Okay.
Because the third line is not going to see Rantanen, is not going to see Makar, Taves, which right now in Colorado is all you need to avoid. The rest of Colorado is not very good, right? They're starting to get a little healthy. Rodriguez just came back. I don't mind that second line, the New Hook, Rodriguez, and Nichushkin line. I don't actually mind them as a secondary. I would make them as Nichushkin. I would have with him with Gerard as like a secondary. Who's starting for? Who do we got net for Nashville? Saros starting. I think Staros is starting, isn't he?
I think it's Juicy. I like to call him Juicy. Can I call him Juicy? Is that like
Juicy?
He and I know each other well enough that I can call him Juicy?
Sure, absolutely.
He is projected. He has not been confirmed yet.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Honestly, Colorado too would be if I was playing 10 lines. To be honest, I would probably just not go there. Other than say Nichushkin as a one-off, I don't mind. But yeah, I wouldn't. But yeah,
so we don't like.
And you're right. Have the Preds burned us many times, many times.
So often.
Yeah, I know. So I get it. I mean, if you don't want, I get it. If you don't want to go there, right? I 100% understand that.
Yeah,
I'm going.
Go there. The data tells me to go there. I follow the data. I'm a data whore. So when the data says go there, I go there, even if it doesn't hit, because the data's been right more than it's been wrong, right? And I'm just curious what you feel about Novak since he's come up. He's finally in the pool. He's had 3 games, and he's been really good so far this year. I know you said you don't love the Preds top line, but like his price, he's a player.
It's not so much that I don't like the top line. Like his actual first game on home ice, the stats like point to like, oh my God, but it was one game. It was it was literally one game. So I'm like, can I really, like, their expected goals were like 5.7, but it was 9 minutes of ice time, right? Like okay. So,
but you know me, I'm a believer that a small sample size is just the first step to a larger sample size. But that I don't know. I like taking, like, is it dumb to play Nashville 1 today, or is it just not like your favorite stack?
They won't see Rand. So it's not dumb at all. Like you said, it's a small sample that could be leading to us be like a week and a half from now. We'd be like, holy shit, this line is unreal. And we played them last Friday when Doug said let's do this. So no, I don't hate them at all. I went with the bigger track record with the.
Oh sure.
And also you got to remember too, when I do the heat map, I think DFS ownership leverage. Who's not going to touch these guys? Nobody is going to have Calgary 3. Nobody's going to have Nashville 3, right? Nobody's going to have Carolina 3, right?
See, that's a good thing to bring up, because when I was talking to my dad the other day, he asked that specific question about, like, is ownership baked into the heat map? And I told him, I don't think so. I think Sean just wants to get the guys out there who are in the best matchups, and then we'll talk about ownership in the chat room. But now that you're saying, oh no, that's not necessarily the case, it is baked into there. That's really good to know. So it's not saying Nashville's not going to be a good play. It's saying based on where ownership is going, Nashville 3 might be a play that you can line up with possibly Edmonton 1 or one of the other big stacks, because ownership wise, that's going to be where we can get some value. And so they're definitely more of that complementary stack rather than, it's possible Nashville 1 gets 2 goals or 3 goals, but if Nashville 3 just gets 1 full line goal, they're hitting value at that point. And so they're a great complementary stack, because what other third line, is going to go full line points that we can put with an Edmonton or something like that? Is that kind of where your head's at on that?
Oh no, 100%. If you notice, if you look at teams, if you go on DraftKings, they juice the pricing on the top lines, right? The drop off from the top line to the second line to the third line is sometimes like crazy how cheap these lines are, right?
They really are.
So I mean, let's bring Nashville up here. Where are they? Nashville. Here we go. Right. So we're getting Johansson's $3,400, right? Their second line, like, look at their prices here. Look at this, Cody. Like, look at that. That's crazy. Like, the pricing algorithm for DraftKings still thinks this is last year's Colorado team. This is not last year's Colorado team. Not even close. McKinnon's not there. They're not even close. I mean, like, look at these prices. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, Trennan is minimum. You're going to get min price Trennan, and the guy's they've been really good, especially at home ice. Like, look at this. Like, it's crazy. You could actually build a Nashville 3 main stack, and then play Connor, Jace Robertson, Ovechkin. Probably, like you could go just stud one-offs, right? build almost like a sort of a cash thing, sort of with it, right?
You're okay with that. You're okay running just a bunch of one-offs without stacking. You're okay with just doing that with stacking.
You know what? For that scenario, because your 3-man is going to be under 10 grand or maybe even 8 grand, and then you're telling me you could run a lineup out with Connor, Robertson, Ovechkin, or say a Pasta as an example.
We got McDavid here. We've got Robertson, who we like his spot. And then let's see, goalie. Oh, shit, who knows where we're at with goalie today? But I know it's weird, but I actually like Lindgren today. I think I like
Lindgren
today. As
how I feel about goalies, and you still got 46.
You're 46. We're still okay. I mean, you can't go all crazy, but you have to remember too.
Wait a minute.
McDavid are also stupid expensive. Like they're not cheap.
Put who did you have? So here, put Ekholm in there.
Yep.
Who do I have with Carolina? Who do I have with Nashville? Where is it? I have Yossi. Can't do that.
No.
Yossi,
but Ekholm plays. Ekholm's all right. All right. So
3,200. What does that give us?
54. Oh, you know who you could put in there? You could put in. I bet you could put in Puljujarvi and Barry. So you get Olmeyer top stack for Edmonton with Robertson off instead of Hyman, which isn't the worst thing you could do.
At all.
Oh yeah, you could. I mean, you could actually, you could do Puljujarvi. You could do Puljujarvi, and you could actually do Yossi instead of Ekholm and just do $1,000 defender, and that's pretty stinking good, right? Like.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at that. So you got 3. Yeah. So $3,000. You can put in.
Anyone.
Well,
Murphy. Ooh, good old Murphy.
Who goes to Dora, Murphy? Yeah, any one of those guys.
Well, might as well put in CC.
Connor Murphy. Connor Murphy. I would put Connie Murphy in there against the Jackets.
What do you like about Murphy?
Block shots, doesn't he? He's a Sabs darling.
Oh, I love myself. Look at that. 6 block shots in the last game. Look, that's beautiful. 27 fantasy points in the last game. Ooh, sexy. Yeah. There you go. That's a pretty good lineup, right? That's a lineup worth playing.
Right.
That's an example of how you could take. That's how. I'm gonna play. That's how you could take a Nashville. I'm gonna enter that. I'm not gonna enter it here on this screen. I'm gonna enter it on my phone. But like that's how you could take a Nashville though. Like that's a great example of how you could take a Nashville, do a mini stack of Edmonton, so you have McDavid, but instead of rolling Hyman out there, but now you've got Yossi and you've got Robertson, who's a real high end play. So, one of the things my dad tries to stick to, and I keep going to my dad, not because it's all about Doug and Daddy, but it's about that sounds terrible, by the way. That sounds awful. That's almost as bad as two big dudes. That's almost as bad as 2 big dudes in a hot tub, right? Like that's pretty rough. So no, but like when I'm talking to my dad, right? Because he's a hockey guy. He loves hockey. He's watched hockey. He's 70 years old. He's been watching hockey a lot of years, but he's never been a fantasy hockey guy. And so I'm trying to teach him how to play. And I'm telling him, oh, well, you go full line stack. Don't miss out on the full line. But now he's always trying to double stack completely. But there are times where, some nuance is needed. And this is where you don't necessarily double stack completely, or at least the full line. But you're like, yeah, Hyman could go off. If Hyman goes off, then yeah, that, your Edmonton line did do it. But what if Hyman scores 2 goals and an assist, but Robertson gets a hat trick? And like, what's more likely? Hyman goes off or Robertson goes off? Well, in that case, it kind of makes some sense to throw a Robertson in there if you're trying to beat the ownership a little bit, right? Because Puljujarvi will be way less owned than Hyman, and you've still got Robertson who'll be less owned than Hyman. So you've got lower ownership with probably a similar projected score, and I think that's a great way where you can use nuance to help build your lineups. Look at me using big words like nuance.
Yeah, this is a hockey podcast. There. We stick to wagon, and but if you look at that lineup, you see the path, right? You see the path.
I mean,
right? If Robertson goes off, and right, but what if Puljujarvi is the one that scores that? What if Connor sets up Puljujarvi for the hat trick tonight? You're like, on a huge monster slate like this, this is a lineup that raises your floor. So it raises your chances of getting that min cash at the worst. Yep. But it's also the ceiling is through the roof because if you told me that you're going to get Josie, Robertson, Connor in the same lineup, I'd be like, Jesus, what is that looking like? Is that a cash build? What are you doing? Well, no, you still have your full line stack of a stack that I really like. So it's.
So this kind of concept, if I may, if we just, and I'm not saying we need to enter this lineup exactly, but if we were to go ahead and pull our Nashville, this is where you could take a line like Calgary 3 and do a very similar thing, right?
100%. You can apply this to Calgary 3. You can apply this, so you get Nashville 3. Yeah. Carolina, you could do Carolina 3 is another one. You can do this exact same thing with Carolina 3.
I feel like we almost kind of have to.
Honestly, you could take that. So you're changing your main stack, but you're keeping your support guys. So you're keeping Connor, J-Rob, and Josie in there, say. You're just swapping out your main stack. Because let's face it, Connor, Robertson, and Josie, they have a track record. Their floor is very, very high.
Yeah, can't get Josie into this one, unfortunately. Because it's Calgary's a little bit more expensive. Now, if we were to take Calgary out and we were to use Carolina, I think this would work with Carolina 3, though. Let's look and see. And I think that's what makes this fun. That's what I like about hockey is there's so many different paths to a fun build, particularly over on DraftKings. Not so much on FanDuel, but on DraftKings where the algo is such that you can take a full third line for so cheap. We can absolutely fit Josi in this one, and then we could either upgrade our goalie. Can we upgrade the goalie here? Yeah, we could upgrade the goalie, or you could just run. Oh, actually, but why would you? If you like Lindgren, which I don't hate Lindgren, now you add another piece to that Edmonton stack with Barry. Now you're literally one piece away from the full Edmonton stack. You've got 3 of the 4 pieces, and you've got Robertson and Josi backing it up. I'm not hating this. Oh shit, Sean, I gotta go make more lineups now. I gotta go spend more money now. I'm loving what we got here though. But this is the kind of thing where once you start to play with it, the amount of things you can do with these lineups is ridiculous.
Yeah, and you still have there's correlation there. There's right. You still have. And let's face it,
it's a super correlated lineup.
If Carolina 3, what if they get 2 goals? If they get 2 goals? Oh my God! Yeah. Then you're possibly staring at it because nobody's gonna have them, right? Everyone's gonna play Connor. Everyone's gonna play Robertson. Everybody's gonna have well, maybe not. They're priced up pretty good, but Connor 9,700, that's.
Yep.
I remember when he'd be 6,700. Remember back in the day, a couple years ago, be how can you not play Connor when he's under $7,000? DK's pricing algorithm is so brutal.
And that's how we take and this to me is a really good tutorial on how to take a cheap stack, get almost another full stack like this. If Lindgren does anything today, oh my God, if Lindgren does anything.
I like Lindgren, but I didn't like anything on Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I like
that's a pretty
really.
Lineup.
Yeah, no.
So let's tell us where we're going here. Let's look at what else do you like tonight? What else would you be looking to build out tonight?
The Florida and Islanders game, I think is sneaky. I think it's sneaky. I don't know if a lot of people, everyone know the Islanders, or the Islanders actually are not. The Islanders are Sorokin. Defensively, they're actually not even. And Sorokin's been. Why? Sorokin might be facing the Carter Hart, John Gibson scenario. The Islanders can give it up. I was looking at the stats and I couldn't believe how bad the D pairings were for on home ice. And I was like, oh, hello. And here's the best part about that game is the Pajot line will match up against the top line, Chuck line. That's the only line on the Islanders that I want to avoid. Every single other line, let me at them. That's why Florida 2's in there. Florida 2 on the road has actually been really good, and they're going to get everybody but the Pajot line. Sign me up for all of that.
I like the Florida too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing. I played Florida too earlier today, and they're cheap, right? Between Lundell and Lusterinen and who's the other guy that's in there? Reinhardt,
Yeah,
right? And then you could, I mean, that's not an expensive line. You can't put them with the full Edmonton stack, but you could take them. Probably can't play them with Dallas too much, but you could play them with Nashville 1, Washington 1. They work with Calgary 2 or 3. They work with pieces of Edmonton. They work with Columbus. They work with Vegas. I mean, you can do a lot of things. Question here. Ooh, let's go to a question from Brandon. He wants to know about Gustafsson against Winnipeg.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
not a fan.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
you don't have a problem with it.
No, Gustafsson was close. He was if I took the value D another spot or two, Gustafsson was going to be in there. So yeah, go for it.
Oh,
yeah, Gustafsson would have been probably the next. I don't know why there's no rhyme or reason to how many value players I put in there. I cut it off with Pulock. Gustafsson would have been the next or second next guy in there. I don't know why I cut it off where I did. I mean, but yeah, Gustafsson.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason Gustafsson's been playing so well? That totally fell under the radar for me. Is there something he's been doing that's like one become an offensive guy? Like I remember a couple years ago, I think he was on Chicago, right? He had this run that I think it was Chicago. He just had this run where he was playing really strong offensively, and now, I mean, these last 3 games have been filthy. What's changed with Washington, or is it just one of those things where it's like just sort of changed, just the way they've been playing?
Yeah, I can't for Gustafsson. I can't pinpoint any one thing. I know whenever Carlson was out, he got the chance on the power play. Playing with Ovechkin is good for anybody's confidence. Set up Ovi for one-timers and rack up assists all day. Then he popped 3 goals against the Leafs. What the hell was that? Yeah. He popped 3 goals against Toronto. I was like, what the fuck's going on?
That's because Toronto sucks.
Oh, fuck. All right. You're cut off. You're cut off.
No more drinking for Doug. 1 drink was enough for Doug. I'm already in the bear. No, I mean, Toronto has their moments, though, like in fairness. Is it wrong that I'm wrong? Not to completely change the... What's that?
The thing for Toronto this year is they started playing defense. So they stopped worrying about offenses. Not stop worrying about it. I mean, they were an absolute wagon on offense for the last few years. They realized they need to start playing defense to maybe win a fucking round. And that's what they've been doing.
Not to change the subject too much off of Toronto, who's not on this slate. LA too. I mean, they're going up against Veg in Arizona, but like I tend to play LA2 on the road a lot as just because they're so cheap. They continue to be cheap. I see you got LA1 there. Is LA2 playable, or do I need to make some changes before lock?
Without Arvidsson, I have no interest in LA2.
They're not there. They're just not there anymore, huh?
I dug into that game because I wanted them like, what's going on here? And I think it's only a matter of time before Arvidsson gets back on that line. They're just not doing it with Arvidsson on the third line. I mean, honestly, even LA won. Like the reason you see Arizona won in there is because they're going to match up against the Kopitar line. The Kopitar line defensively on the road has been brutal, which kind of surprised me because Kopitar has been for the longest time one of the better defensive forwards. They've been getting caved on the road, so I'm like, shit. We have a shot here for some Arizona? Yeah, let's go for some Arizona. And actually, the Bukestad line with Krause and Maselli have actually been pretty solid, been pretty decent on home ice. So I'm like, let's get some Arizona in there. And they don't. You know me. When have I ever put? I mean, other than Chychrun and say Krause, when have you ever seen me put Arizona ever anywhere near anything?
Never.
But I think tonight could be interesting.
Yeah, makes me sad. I was excited to play to play my Calgary or my LA2, but now I'm making the switch because I believe in you.
If you play the late slate, you can make it LA2 if you want. I mean, but the way Arizona, with Veggie, how many times have we played somebody against Veggie and then we're like, wait a minute, why are we still targeting Veggie? Like the guy puts up 35 saves and 40 points, and he gives up 2 goals. I'm like, well, shit, why are we keeping doing this? And LA's just doesn't. LA's not generating a ton of offense. Like they're just not.
Yeah.
Like 3.4, I 3.4. I think is even a high total for them. Like I looked at the stats. I looked at that game for a good half an hour, and
I think Vegas is. I think the book's total on them is what kind of got me looking at them again. But like, it's such a big slate. You don't really need to force it. I mean, it's not like we're hurting for stacks. And that brings me to another question I had, because initially I had a Chicago stack because of the defensive numbers here for Columbus. Like giving up 3, their expected goals per 60 is over 3. Their high danger chances allowed is 14 and change, highest on the, or one of the highest on the slate. But Chicago only expected to score about 2 goals per game, but they've got a high total. I mean, can we play them? Or is it thinking too much? Or am I just better off thinking about Chicago maybe if I'm playing like a turbo slate or an express slate trying to chase some tickets over on FanDuel?
That's another game. Like I'm like, and I even made a note. I read the note. I would love to use the Hawks, but man, they are bad. Like I literally wrote that note after I went through every line.
I missed the note there.
Like I wanted to find a line to include. I wanted to use the Hawks. I tried every line. I'm like, they're bad. They just don't generate anything. Right? And yeah, Columbus can give it up. Tarasov's in that though, right? I think Tarasov's starting.
I believe Tarasov's starting, and he's been good though, right?
And he's been solid, right? So I'm like, and one thing we've always when you look at the entire slate, who's the path to get you to finish first? When you look at all these games, are you going to see somebody who wins all the money with a Max Domi, Patrick Kane, Seth Jones stack? No, no. If that happens, you know what? I don't actually mind that so much, because if that happens, people like that will keep playing, because that's just wrong. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Except now, Seth Jones is a one-off. I'll give you that. Right?
It's just such a great matchup, though. It's a great matchup. Patrick Kane is as cheap as he's ever going to be. He's never going to be cheaper. You know what I mean? Like a Kane Jones mini stack, even like.
You could do so
I want to make this happen.
You could do a Kane Jones combo stack. Absolutely. If you remember about this too, when you're doing the heat map is a guide. If you have a gut feeling on a game, go with your gut feeling. 100%. Right? The heat map is just to reinforce something you might be thinking about, or it might be like, whoa, wait a minute, Goody doesn't like this, so what's he thinking here? You can never really go wrong. Patrick Kane, you can't. I mean, but Patrick Kane's got 22 points this year. 22. He clearly is like, I need to get out of here, and I don't like. Now he's not doing anything for. I mean, he doesn't need to do it. He could have 0 points, and some teams will still come knocking come deadline.
Sure.
But like, it's not like he's lighting it up on a bad team. He's been bad on a bad team. Yeah. Seth Jones has been bad on a bad team. Like, there's a reason why they're bad. Like, their best players have also been bad. Like, it's just bad all around.
It really happens.
Like, honestly, if I could play DFS, Tarasov would probably be one of my goalies tonight.
So let's talk about goalies real quick, since again I didn't get a chance to do the map, and Topher is on a beach somewhere at an all-inclusive or drinking something. I doubt he's watching this right now, but sucks to be us. But good for
He's
Topher.
Probably yelling at the screen, going, "No, wait a minute, what are you doing?"
Probably it has. Yes, I agree, Matt. And Toph has been offering to show me how to do it and define the data, and I found most of it, but not all of it. And I've just been so busy with other things. I was like, I didn't take him up on it like a tool. And so then he goes away for a week, and it's like, oh goodness. But let's talk goalies here tonight. Let's just I'm just gonna literally go through every goalie here, and I just need a yay or nay. And if I'm confused, I may ask a further question, but give me a yay or nay. Allmark.
No.
Mac Black.
No.
For the Devils. No. Urson for Philly.
No.
Ranta on the second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, I would play Ranta against Flyers. Sure. Carolina
is playable.
Yeah, I would play Ranta.
Playable. Rittich against the Capitals.
Riddick's playing for the Jets. Oh shit.
Washington's very interesting now, aren't they?
Washington, you know what? Geez, that almost pushes them into blue. Riddick is so
Data
bad.
likes Washington. Data likes Washington too.
I would get the Washington line. Yeah, I would get Charlie Lindgren. Yep. Riddick.
Yep. Lindgren, I like a lot tonight.
Lindgren,
Lindgren.
sure.
How about Bob? We playing Bob tonight?
Am I? No.
No, we can't.
Never.
That's
Bob.
like a no-go.
Never
That's like an old school bankster DFS. Never play Bob.
Never Bob. Never Bob. Never ever Bob.
Is there ever? Matt wants to know, as I'm refreshing the screen to see if any updates have come in, is there any way to tell who to play other than throw a dart like tonight? Yeah, I mean, with the goalie math, it's pretty good. But like tonight, it's not really darts. We just need to break down. Like I looked at the data and kind of went through it. I really think the goalie math is a strong tool. But again, I'm just going in the data and the lines that they're playing against for tonight. Which is why I like Lindgren. So
sorry, don't mean to cut you off. Aho is in for Carolina tonight.
Okay.
So Aho, Teravainen. I'm gonna post it in the chat. I would absolutely make this line. Aho, Teravainen, and Jarvis is an absolute must.
All right. There's Carolina won. Some of us don't have time or make those lineups, but if you do, I would get those switches in there because Sean says
if you can, get it in there.
Lindgren instead of Bob. Lindgren for sure instead of Bob. He's at 71, 72. Lindgren for sure over Bob. We don't like Bob.
Never Bob.
Never have. That neither goalie and neither Schneider nor or Bob for that game. We like the offenses for that game. Gorgiev, I'm not in love because the data says to use the Predators, and I'm never using Juicy again. Like he's just been not great. He should see shots though, but like we're not Saros, right?
I'm not playing Saros. No, I wouldn't play Saros.
We're not playing Jakey Poo for Montreal, right? Because we like Dallas, but Ottinger's in play, right? For sure.
Ottinger's in play. I honestly, Jake Allen, what's his price? I mean, I don't hate Jake Allen.
Let's look at Jake Allen.
I mean, he's like, is he around?
I guess if they stay off the power play, right? Like if Jake Allen will get some shots.
If they stay in the box, Jake Allen, I think, is in play.
Who is sitting at 7K? 7K. All right, because he'll get the volume, right? We like volume.
I like his for 7K. Yeah.
So either goalie in this game is worth playing. You like Tarasov for Stalock is not a play for us.
Nope.
Right, we like Columbus offense, so Stalock is not a play.
Nope.
Okay. Spencer Martin play.
Nope. Stuart Skinner's in play.
Skinner.
Yeah, I would use Skinner.
He is in play. Yep. Skinner's a play. Probably not liking Quick, right?
No, because you know what? He's only going to face like 15 shots, and he's still going to give up 4 goals.
Yeah.
Nah, I wouldn't play.
But we like Veg, right? Veg at home. We'll always give Veg a shot.
I would have Veggie on a lineup for sure tonight.
Yeah. So we like Veg Melka. Let me see what he got. What does Veg cost? Veg is never priced.
69. I thought I saw him.
Veg is 6,900.
How can you not? I would probably be
crazy.
I would probably be 100% Veggie tonight just because he's 6,900. He only needs to get you 15 points. Hell, 10 points.
Would you go Allen over Allen or Lindgren? Lindgren for goalie tonight. I'm big on Lindgren tonight. I have no Veg because I have not looked at. I didn't play him for some reason, but I may go to him before lock. Bennington, we're not playing, right? We're not playing Bennington on the road.
Thompson, I like.
But Logan's good. The high end guy we're playing tonight. Him and
I would look at Logan. What's his price? Is he like over 8K?
81, I think. He's 81.
I never played D-man. I never played goalies around. But if you have the money, he's safe. His ceiling is he's safe.
His ceiling is pretty high. I think switches.
What's that?
We don't love Markstrom. We don't love Markstrom against the Ducks, right?
No. Same thing.
And Dostal, I
20
mean,
shots,
dude's been good, right? Dostal's been good.
He's been annoyingly good, like annoyingly good, like pissed me off good. Like where, like,
yeah. But we're not playing. We can't play him. Any other options tonight? See, the problem for me here with not playing Logan Thompson, the only way I will play a cheap goalie or an expensive goalie is if I have a ton of money left over because I'm stacking like a cheaper team. So that's the only way I get to those expensive goalies. But I don't really need to spend down at goalie too much. But you know what? F it. I'm going to do a veg lineup. I'm putting veg in one of my lineups, and I'm putting Seth Jones in the lineup. Damn it, as a one-off. I'm playing some Seth Jones one-off. One lineup. So, all right, just as a review, the goalies we're looking at tonight on the higher end, Thompson and Ottinger. On the lower end, we love veg. Skinner is sort of medium. Tarasov we like. Allen we like. We really like Lindgren, and Ranta's okay. And there you go. See, that's how you do goalies without goalie math, though. Like you look at some volume, you look at some plays, you look at the data. And the reason to further explain why I was in why I Lindgren tonight is I took a look at Winnipeg. Offensively, they are due for some negative regression. The Washington defense has been playing really strong, and they're still strong, and they don't give up a lot of high danger chances, which means it shouldn't be a ton of difficult shots for Lindgren. That's what led me to him. Does that mean he can't give up 3 goals on 18 shots and scream? No, that can always happen, but that's what led me to Lindgren today, is just because the data for them was so strong, and Winnipeg is due for such negative regression. That's what led me to Ottinger too, is Montreal. Let's go up a little bit here. Montreal is due for some negative regression here. That's where the heat map can come in handy. So Montreal's due for some negative regression. The Stars are due for some positive regression, and while they give up some high danger chances, they're doing it against an offense that's not, quote, a wagon. So we should be okay there.
Oh, you mean for
Merry Christmas, Matt. Happy holidays, Matt. We'll see you later, buddy. I enjoy dinner with the wife.
Sure.
We do have NFL coming up for those who are hanging around. We do have NFL coming up in about 4 minutes. Gutta showing up. So you were making a point. Sorry, let me let you make your point.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like these teams that generate no offense. I mean, you know what? You want your goalie to get the 35 save bonus if you can. I mean, that's not the ideal situation. And like Veggie should be right there for 35 saves. Allen should be probably in that vicinity because Dallas will pepper Montreal. And you know my feeling on goalies. I hate goalies. I just really do. They cost me too much money.
If you have a goalie facing 40 shots and they win 5-4, guess what? You're making out with that goalie. Like a goalie can give up 4 goals, but if they got 35, 36 saves and they can pop you the win bonus, which we're not even looking at the win bonus, but if you can get all that, you're fine. So you don't be scared of big numbers. I mean, we used to do this with Carolina. Carolina used to take 40, 44, 46 shots a game, and they could score 4 or 5 goals sometimes. But 2 years ago, we were taking every goalie facing Carolina. It didn't matter. If Carolina was on the slate, you take the goalie facing them because you were getting the save bonus, and you were fine. And they were cheap because the DK algorithm was going to price them down facing a team that can score, but they weren't looking at the fact that they're putting up freaking saves and they're getting bonuses. So,
yeah.
Oh yay to that. So that's what we're good. Yay. All right. Something we like to do on the football show, Sean, is at the end of the show, we like to talk about some big, bold predictions that we're making. Since we've already made a couple of lineups on this, we don't usually do that at the end of the football show, but give me some big, bold predictions. What are we going to be talking about at the end of this slate? What is going to be the thing that we're like, oof, that's pretty amazing? Even if we talked about it already. What's your big prediction?
New Jersey 2 outscores Boston 1.
Okay.
I really like it. We didn't get to that game, but New Jersey 2, I think, is very sneaky.
All right.
I don't actually like Boston in that game. I think New Jersey's speed will give them fits, and I think I'm hoping not they all do, but I think at the end of the day, one of our our Carolina 3, our Calgary 3, Or our Nashville 3, I think is gonna go off and is gonna be on a major takedown. Well, they won't be on a major takedown lineup unless it's us because nobody else is playing it. So if one of us takes something down, it's gonna be one of those lineup. Like I said, hopefully they all go off, but I think one of those lines is gonna smash, and we need somebody to nice hit tonight.
I think winning lineup tonight in, let's say, the Knuckle Puck, the bigger tournaments, or in the 5K first place, the big 5K tournament. I think the winning lineup is going to have a goalie that's priced 7,300 or less. I think this is the night to go cheap goalies, unless you have the money. But I mean, to me, the path to victory is cheap secondary stack, expensive main stack, cheap goalie, couple of big defenders. I mean, most of my lineups have some combination of Yossi, Pietrangelo, and some other higher end guy, Barry, perhaps a mid range guy. I think that's our path to success. Yossi, Pietrangelo, cheap goalie. That's the way to do it. So that's it for tonight. That's hockey, man. We should do this again sometime. Don't know if it's going to be until the end of football season. We'll see. But I do like the idea of a Friday stream leading up to lock. If Friday's a big slate, usually Friday's a small slate, but we'll find a day in the week to do it, and let's do this again sometime because we have NFL coming up in 1 minute.
Awesome. Thanks, Dougie.
All right, Sean. Catch up with you later, bud. Good luck tonight.
Cheers.
Oh, that's right. You're not playing, but hopefully your bets go off.
Oh, I got some bets in. Don't worry.
All right. Good luck with that, bud.
All right.
Great show. Catch you later.
Cheers.
All right, bye. And just as Sean logs off, Gutta's back. What's up, Gutta?
Hey, good timing.
It's perfect timing. It's just as we were logging off our hockey show because hockey locked in. We're now in for football. Once again, this is Heat Map Fantasy Sports. It is Doug and Gutta, the football thing on a Friday. Crazy. And this is Heat Map Fantasy Sports, $3.99. Pin tweet, get you the link, yada, yada. You've been watching for an hour if you're here. And good hockey show. But now it's time to talk about a sport I actually know something about. Maybe. Who the hell knows? Who knows? It's been a good year. I can't complain. I guess I know a few things. Things are good. So how are you doing, man? Merry Christmas. And I won't say Happy New Year because I believe I'll speak to you before New Year. But Merry Christmas.
we'll have next weekend. Yeah,
right before your 1 year anniversary, right? Your anniversary is New Year's Eve.
Good memory.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. And I remember last year. So, and Brandon on a Friday night, Brandon's hitting us with the traditional "We're live, pal." We definitely have talked about renaming the show "We're Live, Pal" NFL Fantasy or something. So, Merry Christmas. What do you got? Big plans this weekend?
Traveling around New York, seeing both families. You know, the usual way we kind of spend holidays.
That's good. That's good. Make sure you're staying safe in this weather. You guys getting hit down in Connecticut, or are you all right?
We got some rain and we got like crazy winds, but that's about it. And then I think over the weekend it's just like bitterly cold, but no like rain or anything. So
that's good. Yeah,
we'll be survivable. I know you're a little more north than me. You guys getting hit with snow or anything?
Nah, same as you guys. We had snow last week, but now we're hit same as you. It's the wind. I'll make the same. The same message I gave Sean. At any point, my power could go out. If that happens, show's over. Unless the generator kicks in, and I didn't realize. Like I told him, the generator could have kicked in by now. I would never know. And maybe we're working on generator power now. So power goes out, show's over. Such is life. There's only so much I can control, but it is a horrendous Week 16 slate. I mean, I guess we should be happy that at least there are 10 games and there's a couple to play because the Sunday slate, the 3-game slate, is true dog shit. So we're at least lucky enough that we get this 10-game slate, but not the best 2 games in the afternoon. And there goes Gutta.
No, I'm just putting the light a little bit better.
Oh, that's fine. So we've got it's just I don't know. There's so much weather. There's so many low total games. It is an ugly freaking week. I normally have my cash game line ready. Let me get that loaded up here. And this is the lineup. It's so ugly this week. I had to start Cat Henry. I think this is the week we go back to old school, jam in the 2 best running backs. There is nothing to like at running back this week. Barkley should be okay. Dalvin Cook could be okay. Pollard and Stevenson could be okay. Kamara's carrying a lot of ownership. I'd like to think Sanders will be okay, but like McCaffrey and Henry are in as good of a spot as they can be. McCaffrey hammers it with Debo lineup. And this is the Niners just going to try to lock up where they're at, and it's a good matchup. And then Henry just goes for 202 against 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, like every time against Houston. Like it's been 4 straight games. So how do you not play Derrick Henry in cash this week? And I don't see how you don't put a third running back in your lineup, and it's Jerick McKinnon. Under 6K against a terrible rush defense. He's getting 8 to 10 carries. He's getting 8 to 10 targets. They have found something offensively with this. I don't see why they're going to stop it. So I'm jamming in those 3 running backs, and I'm not looking back. I just don't see another running back worth playing this week in cash. Is there someone? I mean, there are guys I could argue anything, but like, I just think it's so obvious that those are your 3 cash plays. I don't get the Kamara love. I really don't. David Johnson ran more routes than him last week. Kamara is not being used right. It's just a bad situation. And Barkley's just I just don't trust the Giants at all offensively. So where are you at on this? Am I missing a running back? Are we going 3? Do you play McKinnon?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're missing a running back. I think from the running back standpoint, those are the guys that really is the most confidence, right? I mean, unless you're really moving your lineup around and you feel that Dalvin Cook you can use I think you can use Cook with confidence, but if you're using, Cook, then that's probably in lieu of Metcalf, and then it's, what are you switching? What are you swapping? And then it becomes more of, maybe a 4 versus 4 as opposed to a 1 versus 1. So it's a totally different lineup construction. I would say my biggest hesitation here is not the running back, but it's the quarterback spot. Because I'm not crazy about Minshew by any stretch. I mean, he's just, he's not very good, but it just seems in these small, 1 start, 2 start things, the guy just comes out and does well until the sample size gets too big. And I think with the ownership he's going to carry in cash games, like, guy's probably going to be anywhere from 50 to 70% owned. I think it's going to be an insanity to see like this level for a quarterback. And I just think I think there's tremendous risk using Darnold over Minshew, just given that the ownership alone. And I mean, listen, Minshew can suck and give you 10 to 12 points, and Darnold very easily could also, but I think it's more. I think the issue is Minshew can get you 18 to 20 points if it all clicks. I don't think Darnold can quite get there. That's more my hesitation. But I mean, again, if you're more comfortable with him going up against Detroit as opposed to Minshew being on the road and going against the Cowboys defense, which is a tough matchup, I get it. I do get it. I just worry not having Minshew can kind of maybe bury you right off the bat unless, there's going to be heavy ownership on other guys that we're not using that maybe gives us a much bigger advantage.
I'm not opposed to Minshew at all. He was the other guy I wrote up as like the lower end. I do think he's potentially bad chalk because of the Cowboys defense is such a good defense. And I like them in cash this week, though I'm not opposed to using Carolina at 2,300. I think those are going to be the 2 more widely rostered defenses in the lower end, at least. And that does open some things up if you go Carolina over Dallas and you go Minshew over Darnold. And I'm willing to even talk to because I'm far from locked in. First of all, full disclosure, very unlikely I'm playing cash, though I said that last week and almost paid the price. So somehow hit cash line in all but 5 lineups. I don't know how that happened. My lineup was not good last week, but the cash line was so low because chalk didn't hit last week. So maybe this is and I didn't play all chalk, which is kind of where I wanted to go Darnold over Minshew because I just think Dallas is deep to be so good. But going Minshew and Carolina over Darnold and Dallas gives me $800 to fix this problem, the Jahan Dotson problem. And so I play with that a little bit because I'm far from locked into this cash lineup. I'm to the McCaffrey, Henry, cheap quarterback, Metcalf. We'll talk Brandon Cooks in a second, but I'm locked in there. McKinnon and a cheap defense. So it's really the tight end, though I really like Akins, and my second wide receiver, my third wide receiver. And so now $4,700 opens some things up. It really does to get a KJ Osborne, to get I think Richie James is in there, to get a DJ Chark. There are players players that can fit.
Yeah.
I'm
Richie
probably
James
go
is
KJ
Richie James is 39
in this case.
Yeah, I was gonna say Richie James is 3,900 as well. If you come off Dotson to James, then you alter elsewhere potentially, like maybe, and also too, even at I think the Eagles defense is very much in play. I'm actually quite surprised that they're only at 2,200. I mean, yeah, the Dallas offense is okay, but I mean I'm just pulling up. Just pulling up something on the Dallas offensive line.
Using them,
the Dallas offensive line does allow a 27% pressure rate, which is actually pretty, which is one of the higher levels in the NFL. I mean, they don't get sacked as much, but I mean, the Eagles defense has put up a ton of sacks this year, and I don't think they've been below 3 sacks in like 6 straight games or something. Like the defense is
crazy.
Not a lot. They've scored really well as well. Like they haven't been below 6 points.
Not opposed to this play. I'm not opposed to wow, damn. I'm not opposed to this at all. I guess I just see a team playing Dallas. I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing that. But maybe so. And that if I go, I think I like Richie James, by the way, above Dotson. I hadn't really played with that lineup so much. I like Dotson's touchdown upside, but James has definitely the floor, and he's in the matchup. I definitely agree with James. And I love Cooks this week. If Cooks plays, let's see, he was. Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, he's been full practice, so he looks like he's going.
And he's a target guy. Chris Moore is hurt. Nico Collins is hurt. And if he wants to play elsewhere next year, he's got to ball out maybe a little bit here. So I think Cooks against a terrible Tennessee defense makes sense. So maybe this is where I can then take a look at upgrading tight end a little bit, because I don't hate Akins has been getting targets, but maybe we go up. Oh, and I don't love the matchup. I don't love the weather for Juwan Johnson.
Yeah.
With Landry out, Olave out, who else are going to throw the football to? Maybe Juwan Johnson is the answer there. Maybe Cleveland is historically pretty bad against tight end. Targets are there. The upside is probably greater than Akins. So, and I guess I could go higher than Cooks if I wanted to go up to a mid-5 and, go back and then do, go, what do I get, 1,000 more on Cooks? I can go up to 59. I just don't love these. I guess Juju's the guy, right? But I've already got McKinney. DJ Moore could be the play. I mean, maybe it's DJ Moore over Cooks. I do like Cooks, but maybe it's DJ Moore and a cheaper tight end. It's the peripheral pieces that get me this week. My core plays are there. It's these peripheral pieces that get me. So maybe this is the cash line. This is probably the smartest play right here. This is probably the way to go. Maybe Hunter Henry for New England. I just don't trust their passing offense at all.
That's. I think that's almost. I mean, Akins is probably just as risky as well, but I think Akins at least is going to get a couple more targets. Like, who knows what the heck happens in New England? That's a tough one. And also too, like at where you are building within cash. I mean, more. Again, we don't always necessarily want to follow the chalk and everything, but more is going to be popular. Detroit can be thrown on. Secondary's been a little better these past couple of weeks. The corners are starting to come alive a bit. They do have some talent there. They were really struggling early on, but they've come on of late. But I think the spot Carolina's in, I think it's better playing more than playing Darnold, and it gives us that same exposure. But Moore's going to be a little popular, which helps us. There a bit as well. Just tight end is such a difficult spot to maneuver or figure out where you want to go, because then it just limits you in other areas too.
I think we have ourselves a cash lineup. I think I like this. Hey, as I was getting another drink. Cheers to that. Not a big drinker, but for something about a nighttime stream makes me want to just have it's tea. It's hard tea, so it's not like it's hard drinking, but it makes me want to have a couple of drinks. I'm on vacation too. I'm on winter vacation, so it's time to celebrate a little bit.
Oh, what do you got, like 6 weeks off now or something?
I wish. 1 week. 1 week. In Vegas, we had 2 weeks. We had 2 weeks in Vegas. Here in New York, we get 1 week, but we had a week in February too. So, so yeah, that looks like cash to me. I think we're gonna do that. Let me update that in my phone here, because I'm not gonna save it there. Yes, I'm doing the most professional thing I can do, but normally I go to my phone at this point of the show. but it's for inactives, which obviously we're not doing right now because there are no inactives because it's Friday night. It's going to be weird not doing a show right before kickoff. It's going to be weird for football on a Saturday, especially because it's New Year's Eve and my family has like traditions. We go out every year. We go to Buffalo Wild Wings for New Year's Eve. It's just become like a thing for us. It's the weirdest tradition. We get to go to Buffalo Wild Wings, go look at some lights. It's always been a thing. I don't even love Buffalo Wild Wings, but at least I'll have the football on. But it's like
Saturday. You mean Christmas Eve?
What did I say? New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
Didn't drink it. Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, we go to Buffalo Wild Wings every year. It all started, we went to a Buffalo bar. We used to go to, in Vegas, they had bars from different areas of the country. Mm-hmm. We used to go to a Buffalo bar after we looked at these lights. And so now we're going to go to, but they were closed one year. So we're like, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings. And then it's become tradition. My kids love it. My wife loves it, so it's what we do every year now. We go to Buffalo Wild Wings. So that's what we're going to do, but at least they have the games, so I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
This last pick. So that's what we're doing, but unfortunately, there we go. We'll save that. Unfortunately, means I can't sit at home on the couch watching the games the way I normally watch games, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Be a little bit different.
It'll be close enough.
I mean, we would go after the games, except Buffalo Wild Wings closes at 5 here. It was open all night in Vegas, but it was, here. Anyway, no one cares about my tradition. Let's break this down. Let's try to get in and out pretty quickly tonight on this. Let's talk about some GPPs. Houston, Tennessee. We love Derrick Henry. I think Brandon Cooks makes for a cash play and a tournament play. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, probably one of Chris Moore or Amari Rodgers will be in play, getting some targets. The Tennessee secondary is banged up, and they're missing their starting slot corner as well. So that should open some things up. Other than that, it's Derrick Henry. That's it. There's nobody. Can't trust anybody else on Tennessee with Malik Willis starting. I mean, Tennessee has it their way. Henry's probably going to run it 35 times.
I would love it. Give him 3 catches.
I don't.
Perfect.
Yeah, I don't see much passing unless like Burks or one of the receivers gets like a 60-yard touchdown off of a play action because everybody on the Houston side just bites it. Something short of that. I don't expect much else from Tennessee.
I would have been much happier if Ryan Tannehill was playing so we can get some Burks in this game because I think he'd be a great pivot, him and Okonkwo. But I don't think they're going to play this week. They can't be with Malik Willis. Malik Willis does not throw the football. He is not NFL ready. I would not be shocked if Joshua Dobbs got some throws in this game. I mean, Malik Willis has thrown 26 times in his 2 starts, like total of 26. Now, he does have nothing, a 40-yard pass, and other than that, he just doesn't do anything. He runs a little. Just hand it to Henry. Hand it to Henry all day long.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he played against Houston and he threw it 10 times. It's exactly. We already know the blueprint they're gonna have.
Yeah, and I don't think Houston can stop them. So why even bother?
No.
Atlanta, Baltimore. I've heard talk that people seem to think Mark Andrews, because of his route participation and the targets he's getting and the involvement in the offense, that he is an under the radar type of a play. And how Atlanta's not so good against the tight end. You're not going to see him in any of my lineups. But what say Gutta on anything with this game? Andrews to start, and then everyone else to follow.
Yeah, I mean, I get the Andrews point. I mean, Atlanta's been awful against the tight end this year. They've over the last 4 weeks, they've actually allowed the most points per game to tight ends, but they've only allowed 13 catches. The big thing's been they've allowed 4 touchdowns in that span. So even that, because of the touchdowns, numbers are skewed a little bit. Only allowing 13 catches in 4 weeks, or I think it's 3 because they had to buy. But either way, touchdowns are going to skew it. That doesn't help you as much. But yeah, for Baltimore, I mean, Andrews, I guess, is fine, but I'm really much more focused on, surprisingly enough, Demarcus Robinson and J.K. Dobbins. Robinson's been a little bit of a target hog. Devin Duvernay is out, so there's literally nobody there unless you think Sammy Watkins is going to come in and do something. But yeah, he's got 3 straight games of 6 targets. He's got a 4-target game and then a 9-target game. And for 4,000, the way he's been playing, just on volume, he kind of gets you a 3x floor if the volume continues, which is not that bad. He's going to be touchdown dependent, obviously, to maybe get us to what we really want from 4x or higher. But still, if you're getting that type of volume at that salary, it's not bad. Atlanta's defense is terrible. And I think J.K. Dobbins is going to be very much in play. And he's got a great shot here as well. He's starting to look better every week. I think he's, for the most part, over that knee issue. I know he said he has a little more explosiveness, that he wants to come back. Like those 2 long runs, he felt he could have broke away, but he got caught. So I think Dobbins is a solid play. Baltimore's going to run the hell out of the ball because Huntley has not been as good as he showed last year, filling in for Lamar. I think those guys are 2 really, really solid plays. And I've heard, I don't personally see it, but I've heard a little love for Drake London this week. I mean, especially because Marcus Peters is going to be out. I mean, I know he's got double-digit targets the past 2 weeks, but I don't know. I think, yeah. I mean, just, I can't even find the words. I think that's just what you kind of need to know, especially with Ritter. I mean, I don't think Ritter is really quite ready either, in the same vein that Willis is.
Yeah. London, for his price, is the talent is far exceeding his cost, but I have heard that Prochet could get some looks in the Prochet could get some looks in the slot this week, and apparently the slot corner for Atlanta is terrible. So I've heard some love for Prochet. I'm not sure I have it, but again, if you need a min-priced guy, he's someone who could see the field a little bit more. Though for $1,000 more, you get Robinson, who's got the higher floor. I was listening to Jeff Manns today, by the way. No, it wasn't Jeff. It was Al Zeidenfeld. I was listening to a lot of things. I do a lot of reading, and I pay attention to a lot of people. But Al was talking about how DraftKings has set it up, and there's not a lot of lower-priced options this week. And I think he's wrong. And it's not. I'm not one to criticize too many other content providers, particularly ones that have accomplished so much in the field. But I think Al's just wrong there. I think we talked about it with the cash, between Jahan Dotson, Richie James, you've got Demarcus Robinson, and there's DJ Chark at 4,200. There are guys at that lower price this week that I do think you can do some one-offs at the wide receiver position in particular. Obviously, the tight end and quarterback, you can always find those. Not so much at running back, but there are a number of lower-priced wide receivers that make pretty intriguing options, at least this week, with Demarcus Robinson being one of them. I won't even use the Prochet thing, but maybe if you're doing showdown. But DeMarcus is right in that range, and I do think he's a player at 4K if you need to spend down and you don't want to use Richie James, who might be a little chalky, or Chark, who'll be a more popular, or Dotson, who's just in a tougher situation against a decent defense. There are options there this week, so I do think that's who knows, maybe I know more than Al now. I did take down his tournament last week, so.
So so I think that sets up all right.
I like that, though. I hadn't noticed Robinson, so I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think, again, he is among that core of players in that 4K-ish range that you can one-off this week that make some sense for tournaments, because you do want to spend up as we get to some of the bigger games. We're going to see if Buffalo and Kansas City, you are going to Dallas, Philly even, you are going to need to spend down somewhere to make those work, especially with the high-end running backs. I'm glad you brought Robinson up and brought him to my attention, because I'd overlooked him. Detroit, Carolina, is this going to be a surprisingly decent fantasy game, or am I just talking myself into Sam Darnold? Is this some lingering Jets love from previous years' live streams?
I guess it's just that I don't know how this game necessarily shoots out. I mean, we go every time Goff's in this situation. Goff's terrible on the road. I mean, there's not necessarily elements, but outdoors he's not that great either. They beat the Jets last week, but he didn't do much, right? He was okay, I suppose. What did he give? Yeah, he gave me.
He was saved by that one touchdown. He was saved by a wide open tight end running 50 yards down.
Yeah, and I think I think that's what you're kind of looking at. I think you're looking at 14 to 16 points for Goff. He's not going to do much. Probably the same on the Carolina end. I mean, the only thing I'm really interested in is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got another good matchup in the slot. I think he can have a path to success. DeAndre Swift is. Yeah, he is. Oh, yeah, he always is, but that'll help keep some ownership down, and he gets the volume to pay it off. I mean, he's going to be touchdown dependent, but I think he's well within consideration just given the volume and what he's doing. And also too on Detroit side, I think Swift is probably a fine play. Jamal Williams is kind of not that he's being phased out, but he's definitely losing touches and he's losing some snaps. The games have kind of shifted on Detroit a little bit from Williams kind of getting the breaks going his way and everything, and Swift is getting much more involvement. So I think Swift could be maybe a little sneaky in that mid-range price. And then, if you need to spend down, I guess you can look at Deontay Foreman. He gets enough touches. I'm not crazy about it, but there'll probably be enough people that overlook him because of the stinker he put up last week, which is fine. Sometimes recency bias plays in your favor. The volume is going to be there. I'm not overly crazy about DJ Moore, especially because right now he's trending as the top-owned wide receiver, which, in a game that could be a crap fest even without weather, it's probably just something I'd rather stay away from, especially that Detroit secondary has actually been pretty decent these last couple of weeks.
You're making me feel really good about my cash line. Thanks. They did give up 300 yards to Zach freaking Wilson last week, so yeah, I don't know if decent is the word I would use to describe Detroit, but they're getting completely blown out by wide receivers. I will say that, right. But DJ Moore is a little bit better than what the Jets are putting out. I mean, Darnold is better than Zach Wilson. It's just.
Well, quarterback-wise, I mean, I think Garrett Wilson's better than DJ Moore, but yes, quarterback-wise,
right? Yeah,
Carolina is Darnold is better than Wilson right now, which is ironic, right?
Yes. On Jamal Williams, he actually got out-snapped by Justin Jackson last week, so that's that. Yeah, think I like the Swift call there. I just want to just give a little bit of love to. There are some people who think that Chuba might be. In for some more touches. He's cheap, but Foreman's only a little bit more expensive. So if Detroit gets up, maybe Hubbard plays more because he gets the targets. But I don't think we need to go there.
Yeah,
I don't. He looked good when he plays. He just 9 or 7 touches last week isn't going to get there. But if that trends to 12 or 13 touches, and 7 of them are in the passing game, well, then that starts to look more like a Walmart Jerick McKinnon, which isn't such a bad thing at $4,900. But you get McKinnon for $1,000 more, so why not do that? I've talked myself both into the same thought. Good. That's talent right there. Buffalo, Chicago. This is a new side of Doug. It's a new side of Doug. Buffalo, Chicago. It's going to be cold. Do we like the cold?
I mean, cold is not that big of a deal. I mean, I suppose if it's feeling like negative degrees, maybe it is a little bit of a big deal. Easy for us to say in the warmth, right? The bigger issue is going to be the winds. I mean,
the warmth of Connecticut.
Well, I mean, it being indoors. Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, the issue is going to be the wind. I mean, right now it's looking like sustained of 20 and gusts up into the 30s. Which is going to make the passing game difficult. It may not make it impossible, though, but depends on what the wind is going to end up with or how it's going to be. That could affect the passing games. I mean, right now, this game is going to be so low owned that, honestly, if the forecast doesn't deteriorate, this might end up being my higher owned way to go, because if everything neutral, let's say it was just a 15-degree day in Chicago with no wind, I mean, we'd be probably talking about Josh Allen as the highest owned quarterback on this slate, and Steph Diggs is a top 3 owned wide receiver. We'll be talking about how we're playing this game in stacks. What are we doing? We playing Allen, we playing Fields, and everybody is kind of avoiding it right now. So I think it's going to be important to look at the weather, listen for the weather, and all that stuff in the morning. In the event that maybe the gusts aren't going to be so bad, because if the gusts aren't that bad, it could improve things a lot as well. So it's going to be very interesting how it plays out. I'm definitely going to have exposure on the quarterback end. I think you can play Fields naked. I think you can use him with Kmet because that'll be all the short passing. Will be a little bit stronger here. I think you can use Singletary as a opposing to Fields. I think you can use Allen with Knox. I even think you can maybe even go Allen and Singletary because the Bears' run defense is so bad. But it's just, I think it's going to be much more weather driven how much exposure I have. But I'm definitely going to build at least one lineup with it because it just makes a ton of sense because the upside is there. The upside is really, really strong here on both ends as well because especially too, if the weather kind of deteriorates or stays where it is, I think that gives a lot more credence to Fields because Fields is going to run a ton in good weather. If it's bad weather, he's going to run it 15 times. They're still going to probably throw it 10 to 15 times. I mean, and we've seen it. The guy's got, as much upside as any other quarterback on the slate. So this is not a spot you want to overlook. You definitely want to find some exposure somewhere because I think there's a shot this game could be one of those funky, like 45 to 50 point type games. But you're not going to want to, stack Allen, Diggs, and, Knox type of things. I don't think that goes off either unless the winds do subside at some point, like some of this storm shifts a little bit.
You can take wind out of the equation. Gabe Davis has one of the better matchups on the slate. He's the quintessential GPP boomer bust. But if he gets behind that defense and Allen can get it through the wind, I think Gabe Davis could have a good game. I wouldn't mind stacking this game. Allen, Davis, Knox, going with the deep shot or the underneath because they really used Knox very well last week.
They did.
To much success for some of us who used him as our captain in Showdown. That was a really nice game for us. I do think that using Knox with Davis allows you to save a little bit of money while not having to worry about spending up for Diggs, and you still get some upside. And if Davis and Knox only do minimal, but they do enough, but they don't go off because the winds are bad, Allen is more than capable of hitting his value with rushing. He can rush 10 times for 80 yards and 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like that's very doable for Allen too. And that's, he's not going to do it as often as Justin Fields is, but he has definitely got that in his wheelhouse. Like I can see in my head, Josh Allen just running over freezing cold Bears defenders. Like they aren't going to tackle him. Dude's huge. Like, no. And he doesn't give a shit. Like he's not one of those warm weather quarterbacks. Like he's not Zach Wilson, who, is a pretty boy. Like he played at freaking Wyoming. It snowed like crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean,
don't care.
Allen, I know Allen's got a cannon. I wonder if he's got the type of arm that the wind may not even affect him that much. I mean, we see this stuff in Buffalo all the time. Maybe it's not going to matter, and Fields has a strong arm too. I mean, again, the Chicago receivers and all leave a lot to doubt, but if Fields is running around, then it's a little not trickery, but like improvisation and stuff. I mean, guys get open. So I think this one's shaping up to be a little bit on the sneakier side and something definitely not to forget.
It's another one of those weeks where you just take one of the best teams on the slate, just play the best guys, and lo and behold, you've got a 10% team, and they go off. I don't want to keep bringing up the Smiz gang win last week, but when I won the Smiz gang last week, it was with a Patrick Mahomes double stack. Like it wasn't like I got sneaky with a Texan stack. Like I played Patrick Mahomes. Like that's what got me there. Patrick Mahomes and the Chargers receivers. Like I did not do anything crazy in that respect. There were some one-offs or they were lower owned other plays, like Latavius Murray and the whatever, but like the rest and Zay Jones, but Zay Jones was chalk. So it's like I didn't matter, play the best guys. We've talked about that with Jalen Hurts all year. Just play the best guys. And so Buffalo, there ain't no better than Josh Allen. So maybe sometimes if he's going to be under 10% and you can get his pieces for cheap, just play the best guys, or play around with it and see where we can go. I like that idea a lot. I'm glad you're on board with that because that is, the kind of confirmation bias I like. I like to hear that we're on the same page with that. 31-point game total, New Orleans, Cleveland. I can't imagine there's a piece of this game that you like. I can't even see liking Nick Chubb in this game with the low projected total, which would expect a lot of running with bad weather. Like Nick Chubb don't do enough in the passing game, and I don't get the Kamara love. Let other people take him. Is there anyone in this game that you are keen on, or is this game just pass? Don't waste our time.
Kamara, I'm definitely not going near or anything like that.
Love to hear it.
I may have some Chubb exposure. I think it just depends how I build or where it goes. If, I'm coming off of maybe, Henry needed to save a little to spend a little elsewhere. Chubb hasn't done it, really all year. He's had like 2 good games realistically, but I think only once he kind of got to the point total we need. It's this is a tough one. Probably going to be avoiding it. If I do any large field GPPs, I may actually build a Taysom Hill lineup. Because one, I think it's a solid pivot off of Gardner Minshew. And if the weather does end up being what the forecasts and kind of projections are, nobody's going to be able to throw in this weather. And if that's the case, why not put Taysom Hill behind center for 50% of the snaps and draw up another 25% of the plays for him? The guy's been the best part of their offense all year long for the most part, aside from Chris Olave. So it wouldn't really shock me to see Hill get like 10 to 12 touches, or opportunities, or whatever you want to call it. And, and some funky stuff. So, you're not going to do it as a single entry or anything, but, you're doing 20, 30, 40 builds. You're in a large field. It's a good pivot point. And listen, it's if Taysom Hill has one of those games where he, goes for 25, he's going to be a top 3 quarterback. It's just the reality of what this week is. So I don't think it's that out of the box considering the elements and how the rest of the things line up.
He is listed as a tight end on FanDuel also. He's one of the more expensive tight ends, but pivot off of Kelsey, and he has a 25-point game, and Kelsey doesn't, you're lapping the field at that point. Second other thing to say about this game, you said Chubb exposure, and it made me giggle. Thought that had to be said. Game of the day, the Dallas Phillies probably game of the day. But my favorite fantasy game of the day.
I was gonna say this is the fantasy game of the day.
Yeah, that's all I care about. I don't care about who wins. Fantasy game of the day: Seattle, Kansas City. I just think there are lots of fun ways you can attack this game, and I don't think you can get too much exposure to this game. I think if you run 10 lineups and 6 of them have either Geno Smith or Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, on this slate, I don't see that as a problem. You throw a Kirk Cousins lineup in there, you throw 2 Josh Allen lineups in there, you throw a Gardner Minshew lineup in there, call it a day, move on. Like, I don't think there's too much you can do with this game. Am I crazy, or is this the fantasy goodness game that we need this week?
No, I don't think you're crazy at all. For one, we've seen the last couple of weeks Kansas City secondary get beat by a lot of not good offenses, particularly Denver and Houston.
Russell Wilson.
So without Tyler Lockett would have probably went for 40 in this game because running out of the slot would destroys Kansas City. But without that, DK Metcalf's probably getting you 12 to 15 targets. I'd be shocked if Metcalf, doesn't get you at least 12 targets in this game. I mentioned this in my article. This Chiefs offense is morphing into those like last 5 to 7 years of Brady in New England, where Kansas City run game is their short passing game to the running back. Pacheco's been fine. He's been running it somewhat, but for all intents and purposes, it's been the checkdowns to McKinnon has been their running game, and McKinnon's just been really, really good. And I think McKinnon's a great part of stacking this game as well. The one thing that I do think you got to be mindful of and work this in as well. I think you do have to have some Pacheco exposure to offset McKinnon a little bit, just because Seattle has been so friggin' bad. against the run, that if it does turn into a Pacheco game because Kansas City's up 21 in the third quarter type of thing, or guys get tackled at the 1 yard line and Pacheco's the one running it in, it'll blow up McKinnon very, very fast. So it's something fluky there. But hard pressed to think Pacheco goes for 120 and 2 touchdowns, and that's how Kansas City wins the game. I think it would be more of he's getting the cleanup work in the second half, and he happens to get 2 touchdowns, but it's the wide receivers or Kelsey that does the damage more than McKinnon. But with that, I think
Pacheco fumbles again, though. If Pacheco fumbles again, Pacheco fumbles again, it might be McKinnon getting 80% of the snaps. If he fumbles he's fumbled 4 times this year. If he fumbles again, McKinnon may get every snap in this game, and or Rojo might give him a rest. But I don't know if Pacheco sees the field if he fumbles again. He better hold on to that football.
Yeah. So, and the other thing here too that let me see if I can find it, but I know that Seattle activated 2 running backs from.
Yes.
I'm just looking for my alerts. I'm sorry. They activated
Godwin, Igwe and Wayne Gallman. They activated them both for this game.
And Pete Carroll had said that he is expecting all of Walker, Homer, and DJ Dallas to play. So I don't know if they activated them because something came up with Walker or if they need depth for special teams or something. I haven't seen anything about it, but I know Walker didn't play all week, didn't practice all week. I mean, it's a good spot if he plays, but if Walker is inactive, I think you can maybe look at Travis Homer a little bit. I mean, Pete Carroll's got a love affair with the guy, and I mean, he's their pass catching back, and Kansas City has allowed the second most catches to running backs this year. They've allowed 88. The last couple of weeks, the last 4 weeks, they've only allowed 20, but it's also because Houston doesn't have much there either. So it was a little game flow-ish or whatever. But they've allowed the third most receiving yards over the last 4 weeks to running back. So I think Homer could be a little sneaky there and maybe have a touch of potential upside if Walker is out. But again, that's got to fit perfectly with what you're doing and kind of nail everything that you need that savings there. I just think it's an interesting thing maybe to look at with those 2 guys being elevated and Walker not practicing all week.
I will bold prediction earlier in the show than normal. 0% chance Walker plays this week. 0. No way they're bringing up those 2 guys
it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. And if Walker does play, I want no part of this because it could be one of those where he's active, but it gets 2 carries and we don't see him again.
Yeah.
And if he's active, I don't want Homer. I just can't. I don't see it.
Homer,
I could see Wayne Gallman leading this backfield in touches if Walker doesn't play. We've seen Gallman do it before. Not to say you should play Gallman, but I just don't trust this. This situation is wonky. But I want the receivers anyway, right? You want
Correct.
Goodwin, you want Metcalf, if Goodwin is banged up. I mean, he's questionable, but I think he's supposed to play. But that's where Penny Hart or Drake Young or Derek Young could be. I mean, at that point, you want Will Dissly, right, or Noah Fant. Don't go too far on there. But I don't know, man.
At that point, I would just go to Fant as the second if Goodwin's a little too banged up, or if he happens to be inactive for some reason. He's not supposed to be, but if it turns to that.
I think Juju at 5,800 is just a great price this week. He has 21 targets the last 2 weeks, lower ADOT, but he has been so productive. And if you don't want to spend up for Kelsey, who's in a great spot, but they get weird with Kelsey. It's like they just don't want to use them right. And so if you go with Mahomes and Schuster and Metcalf and McKinnon, it's not a stack that you can't afford, because then you can go use a cheap tight end elsewhere, or you could use a Dissly or a Fant and have money for other things, and you don't have to get overly creative then, as you might have to if you use Kelsey. So I don't think Kelsey's a necessary part of a Kansas City stack, particularly because of the way they've been using Juju and McKinnon the last couple of weeks. McKinnon and Juju have both been pointing up the last couple of weeks. I think they're a fine way to stack this game.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. I mean, I don't think I don't think there's too much exposure to this game, per se.
Yeah, I think have fun with this game. This is going to be the game. Another game that should carry some ownership, which I'm actually hoping takes a bunch of ownership off of the Kansas City-Seattle game, is this Giants and Minnesota game. Projected to be a fairly high-scoring game. Neither secondary, strictly. I mean, Minnesota's just terrible overall defensively, but their offense can put up numbers. And for the first time all year, the last 2 weeks, Kirk Cousins has actually scored, and Justin Jefferson's having good games. He's gone over 400 yards in back-to-back weeks. He's got 28 points in back weeks. He's been able to sustain 2 pass catchers. Last week it was King, but Thielen's not terrible. This game should be fun, right? Like, this should be fun to stack a little bit.
You know what? I'm hoping so. I've got a couple of best ball teams relying on Kirk Cousins because of one team is advanced with Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins, believe it or not. And my other one has Jalen Hurts and Kirk Cousins. So I'm really relying on Cousins this week. It was funny. Me and Hook were talking about it 2 weeks ago that Hurts has outscored Cousins every week, and then Cousins puts up that insane game last Saturday, and then lo and behold, Hurts comes out on Sunday and outscores him again.
Right. I saw that conversation, how Cousins has had 0 points for you this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and this will be the first week where I literally need him. So from that standpoint, I'm hoping this game shoots out, especially on the Minnesota side. But I do think there's a good chance for it. Both defenses are just not very good. The Giants defense was smoke and mirrors the early part of the year, and the fractures have definitely showed. They still make plays. They'll turn the ball over. They get some sacks, but they're allowing points. They're allowing teams to get the better of them. And quite frankly, I don't think they're going to have an answer for Jefferson or Hawkinson. I just don't think it's there.
They're far worse against the run, though. Look at these numbers.
Yeah,
they have given up less than 100 yards just 3 times all year. They haven't given up under 87, and they've gone over like 140 so many times. Is it possible this is more of a Dalvin Cook game?
I do really like Cook in this spot as well. And that's going to be the hardest part is Cook exposure? Is it Jefferson exposure? Is it stacking? Like, where and how do you play this game? But listen, for all we talk about volume and being on the field and opportunities, Alexander Mattison is getting nothing here. Like, he's getting 3, 4, maybe 5 touches a game, if that, and that's it. The last two touches last week, 2 touches the week before that, 5 the week before that, 3 the week before that, 3 before that, 4, 3. Like, Madison's not cutting into anything like we've seen in the last 2 years. So Cook is getting all the volume, and if Cook was ever going to have a ceiling game, this is very much it as well. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this ultimately does play out. And honestly, it really can go either way for Minnesota. I don't think there's it's hard for me to sit here and put my foot in the ground and say, no, it's definitely going to be a Minnesota passing game, or no, it's definitely going to be a Minnesota rushing game, because it can go either way.
For sure. Who do you like in the Giants side outside of Saquon, Let's say you like Saquon. Like, who else do you like?
I'm not even that crazy about Saquon, and it's his ceiling has been a little limited. But yeah, I think from the Giants side, I think it's Slayton and Richie James. James is going to carry way more ownership given the price tag, but I think Slayton is definitely the better player. And we saw it was weird, right? We saw this in Jones's rookie year, and then early in his second year, he had a really great connection with Slayton, and then the coaching staffs didn't like him, and even early on, Dable wasn't using him, and it forced injuries to force his hand and use Slayton, and Slayton's been good again. Slayton is not a bad receiver, and he does have really good chemistry with Jones. So I think Slayton's easily the top guy here on the Giants side. And also, too, if you are a little worried about it being a Minnesota passing day, I'm not opposed to stacking it on the Giants side either. I mean, Daniel Jones gives some nice upside because he runs the ball quite often. He's had 35 rushing yards in 3 of his last 5 games. He has a 100-yard game. He scored 5 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he's got a lot of rushing upside, and if he can give you 50 yards and a rushing touchdown, I mean, now you don't need that much from the passing side to him really be hitting it for you.
You like my boy Isaiah Hodgins at all? My little preseason warrior who's actually doing. I love my preseason warriors, as we know. Hodgins, I mean, look, 4 20 targets the last 4 weeks, two touchdowns, kind of a red zone threat. Is he? What if you stack Jones with those 2 guys and run it back with like Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson? I mean, you can afford that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely doable. I think Hodgins is in play. Kind of a. You move off of the Richie James truck a little bit and you say, well, maybe James doesn't get there and it gets spread out a little more. Yeah, Hodgins becomes a definite possibility.
Just to see what we can do. What does that leave us with? You go cheap defense. I mean, that works. That's doable. You run Jones with Hodgins, James, Cook, Jefferson.
You throw the Eagles defense in there at 2,200 and, you mid-range tight end, you can play with that.
I feel like we're building up in here. Now I want to see this play out for a second. No, let's see. Hold on. Let's put in Jordan Akins. He's cheap. It's late. I know one wants to be here all night, but you can even go. Let's go Jordan Akins at 29. The Will Dissly makes sense. I mean, you got $7,400 a player. You can do whatever the hell you want. You put Derrick Henry up in there. You can go Chalky McChalkster over here. You put Henry, McCaffrey. It doesn't matter. Let's put Henry in there. And that leaves you with $6,200 for a flex. You can get McKinnon. You can get I do like Miles Sanders as a
Miles Sanders.
I do like Miles Sanders. I love get there in a second. But I mean, this lineup plays. I'm leaving it up just in case this is our lineup today. Let's talk about New England Cincinnati before I get overly excited about this, because we do have the Gutta stack with Steelers and the Eagles defense. I love my Gutta stack. Talk to me about, we even have Henry with Akins. Oh, my God, perfectly correlated lineup. Holy shit, I love it.
Not even thinking about it.
I love that. That lineup's getting entered. Like, I'm hitting enter. We could build another one, but that lineup's getting entered at some point. Cincinnati, New England. Do we like anyone here?
I like Stevenson. Stevenson gets the volume. He gets the pass work. And just, there's not much on the passing offense in New England. So I think Stevenson's, another great play that's probably going to be overlooked like he was last week, which wish I had more of him last week. I kind of had that feeling on it, but that being said, I kind of like Stevenson. And I mean, listen, we talk about sometimes you just play the best players. It's not the best matchup in the world for Cincy. But I mean, listen, on a slate where we're affected by weather, we're kind of lacking some upside in some spots. I mean, you can do worse than using Burrow and Chase and just hoping that it's one of those games where the Pats defense just struggles, because there's been a couple games where they've imploded a bit. I mean, Minnesota beat them up pretty good. There was another game I think earlier in the year they got beat up a little bit through the air. So, I mean, Burrow Chase, you could do worse than that, from the stacking standpoint. And again, they got as much upside as anybody else. I don't think they get there.
No one's going to have it.
No, nobody will. It's going to be extremely overlooked. So it's a tough spot, but it's something to consider, I think. And then, the only other thing really is Stevenson, and I think both defenses can actually be solid plays as well.
I'm guessing I will have zero exposure to this game. I have a very tight player pool for this week. But Stevenson looked really good considering he was injured. He looked real good this week. He's a play. Is going to be assuming he's the starter for New England. He'll be in season long top two rounds. He'll be a RB2 at worst next year. He'll be a top 24 pick. I can't imagine we're playing too much in San Francisco, Washington from a GPP perspective, other than McCaffrey and maybe one of the Washington receivers. We're right? You can't play the passing game for, I guess the 49ers defense isn't play, but you can't play the Washington passing game heavily or the running game. You can't play Washington really at all other than maybe Dotson in this game, can you?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Dotson's the only guy I'm looking at on the Washington side, because he's kind of a prototypical GPP guy. He's based on on this week's salary, he's hit 4x on this price 4 out of his 8 games, and he gets the more favorable matchup going against Lenore, which I've targeted in the past, and it's helped. It's been good. So I think Dotson. It's got real upside here, and again, at that price, it's not bad. He's going to be lower owned than Richie James, and I think he's got more upside than him too.
25% of his catches have resulted in touchdowns this year. He has been a very efficient GPP wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, those things aren't sustainable.
Yeah, of
but
course, that Heineke can get a throw off.
Well, yes, yeah, but again, at that price range, the risk that you take, I'll take his upside with that risk. Yeah, and then the San Fran side, I'm only looking at McCaffrey. The slate break McCaffrey is kind of back. The do everything guy. The last 3 weeks he's been incredible, and it correlates very much with Elijah Mitchell being out. I mean, the 4 games that Mitchell has been out, McCaffrey's averaged 32.49 fantasy points a game, which is 3.69 X on his current salary. That's his friggin' average. I mean, I don't think it's out of this world to expect a 30-point game again from him. And again, given the slate, I mean, any guy that's going to get you 30 points is well worth it. Even if he's not giving you 40, which we would prefer to see, I'll use him and gladly take 30 points.
I love McCaffrey this week. I mean, I'm going back and forth my high-end running backs between him and Henry Allen. I'll sprinkle in Cook. I mean, this is, like I said, real tight player pool this week. I'm just eating a lot of chalk this week at everyone's going high-end running back, low-end receiver, and I think that's the way to go, and just mix and match those receivers. I do think it's just tasty. It's a little tasty cakes right there. Philly Dallas. We talked a lot about this game from a cash standpoint. Any GPP love here? I like Miles Sanders. I think his rushing numbers increase because Jalen Hurts won't be taking it from him. And Dallas, if you beat him, it's on the ground. So, where are you at with this game?
Yeah, kind of the same. But do like Miles Sanders here. I think we'll see his volume stay elevated or go up. He's not going to lose goal line carries to Jalen Hurts, which is going to be huge. Even though he's scored 11 touchdowns already this year, he's set up very well in this spot. Dallas can be run on. I mean, I'll probably make a Minshew lineup or two just because of the value, and Dallas's secondary is kind of destroyed right now. I know Trevon did. Let me see what his practice report looks like. I forgot to look that one up. I know Diggs is
looking, I will say,
questionable. So he got an illness late in the week, and he didn't practice yesterday. So if Diggs is out, I like Brown much more. If Diggs is playing, we may see that shadow, and it may open up things for Devontae Smith. Either way, I like Goddard the most out of the receiving group. But Devontae Smith, I think, will have more upside if Diggs is playing. I think that'll hurt Brown a little more. So yeah, I think that's there. And I mean, I really don't understand why the Eagles are priced at only 2,200 on defense. I mean, I get the Cowboys' offense has been solid, but the Eagle run defense has really stepped up the last couple of weeks with their improvements on the defensive line with Linval Joseph, and they have an incredible corner trio, and they have one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. I just don't get it, and Dak's playing fine, but Dak is
not fine.
Yeah, Dak is not
just fine. He's not been great. He's been fine.
So I really don't get the Eagles pricing, and there's nobody on the Dallas side that I really like. I mean, I'm not paying up $7,000 for Tony Pollard in this spot. I'm not paying $7,500 for CeeDee Lamb. I may look at Noah Brown at 3,600. But again, with the trio of corners they have, I mean, Lamb, Gallup, and Brown all have impossible matchups. I don't really want to take that risk. And again, this is a good defense. You know, it's not like we're talking about some crap defense like Dallas faced last. Well, Jacksonville's okay, but you know, it's not that type of matchup for Dallas. This is a really, really tough matchup, even at home. So I'm just, which even that makes me hesitate a little bit with the Eagles, but more so Dallas, of course.
Let's not forget, too, T.Y. Hilton is going to factor into the offense this week for Dallas, and we don't know what that's going to do to Gallup or Brown. Probably won't hurt Lamb or Pollard or Elliott, but it could hurt Schultz, could hurt Brown, could hurt Gallup. I have Gallup more than anyone in this, but only because of his price. But I only have like 1 or 2 shares of him as a run back, and I may even move off of him and not do a run back here because I just like other receivers at that price point. We did it, Gutta. We did it. We got through it in under an hour. We did it 1 hour. We covered it. We got the whole slate in. Is this lineup that you're looking at acceptable for our lineup for the week, or do you want me to put something else in there?
I mean, I like it.
Done.
It's good.
Let's see. And this one should be there. It should not be full since there's 200,000 more people to do who still need to do that. You see that balance? Look how nice that balance looks, Gutta. After it's down over around 1,100 a few weeks back.
I know.
You've had $400. We're doing well.
I know. You've had a couple of good ones.
Big wins. The big one wasn't on this. It was on Yahoo. Of all sites.
It was Yahoo, yeah. Well,
Yahoo.
you hit Al's contest last week.
But I hit Al's. Yeah, I want to go back to back. That would be fun. This was the only week this year, by the way, on he shouted out just the winner because he had just come back from the live finals. So it was like, oh, I had to win to get shouted out. And you know, as a guy who follows these people, you know, it's kind of cool to be pointing out. Al went to the same college I did. I think he's ahead of me. So he went to Syracuse just like me. So, you know, every once in a while I'll shoot him a message about something and he was talking about Syracuse. So like, I know where we talked about where we stayed in college. Like we have a similar experience. Like, so it's kind of cool.
Nice.
Anywho, what's our big take? What's our thing this week? What's the prediction? Where's the bold prediction, Gutta? What's going to happen this week? What are we taking away? Give me something to hang my hat on this week.
Let's see. Wasn't as prepared for this. My head was
We're 2 days early. Of course you're not. I'm not either.
Thrown off with it. All right, let's see. Let's go through. All right. J.K. Dobbins, top 5 running back this week.
I like it. I'm going to get some J.K. Dobbins exposure now because you've been good with this. I also am not prepared, even though I asked it and I'm giving you crap for not being ready. I'm also not ready. Yeah, Miles Sanders is going to put up 24 fantasy points or more. He'll go 4x. He'll go 4x on his price this week. I think Miles Sanders is in line for a great matchup this week. And he'll be one of those guys that we're like, all right. And I will say too, at the end of the week, we're going to be like, why didn't I play more Buffalo? Well, we won't because we're smart, but people will be saying, how did I just not play Buffalo? How did I just not play the Bills? Like, just play the best guys. Just play the best guys. This is it. 2 hours. Oh my God. I'm exhausted. I'm starving. I'm a little drunk. I'm all the things, but I'm really excited to be on winter break. So this is it. This has been Heat Map Fantasy Sport Live, NHL and NFL. This has been quite the thing. I will say too, if you watch L's show, whoever did, we were talking about Carolina 3, and if they would only put up 2 goals, they put up 2 goals already, 2 full line goals in the first period.
Wow.
We could be in for a huge night if Edmonton does anything. Yeah, it could be a big night for us because they are very under back. Anywho, this is Heat Map Fantasy Sports, home of the Comma Club. I like that. Let's add more. We had a $2,500 winner last week, and that was nothing compared to our $65,000 winner. Jeff put up 65 grand. It was amazing. Another member of the Comma Club. We'll get you there. We'll get you there next, Gutta. This has got to be your week, Gutta. It's your turn to take down 65 grand or something with the comma. Something with the comma this week.
I'm working on it. Let's just hope, if Kirk Cousins has a big day, we may be sitting here talking about some best ball finals next week.
Oh, I'm excited. I got 3 teams to the next round, so I only have 3 though. So I'm hoping and praying that that we get there in best ball. I'm very reliant upon Fields and Mahomes this week. So
I've got a lot of Fields as well. So I'm hoping that weather holds off a little bit in Chicago.
Let's get there. For Michael Gutta at the Big Gutta, I'm Doug Shane at Bankster17. Come check us out. Heat Map Fantasy Sports, $3.99 a week. Check the pin tweet. Join us. Be part of the Comma Club. Let's do it, and let's go Carolina 3. A couple more goals. Have a good night. Good luck this weekend, folks. Merry Christmas.